Well, thank you for watching this video for the first interim assessment questions 1A, 1B, and 1C. I'm going to show you how these problems should have been solved. So 1A works with the distributive property, and you should have recognized right away that we needed to distribute this 0.5 to both the 3 and to the x. If we did that, our next step would be that we had the 2.3, which we hadn't used yet, plus 0.5 times 3, which would be 1.5 or 1.5. And then we'd also have the 0.5 times the x. And since we don't know what x is, we have to leave it in this form right here. Our next step would be to combine terms. We don't have any other x's, so we're going to leave that as it is, but we can combine these numbers right here. And so if we have 2.3 plus 1.5, we end up with 3.8. Just added the whole numbers and then I added the tenths, plus our 0.5x. And being that we don't know what x is, we can't take this problem any further. And so over here in the blanks, they were looking for you to write the 0.5x, and if you just wrote 0.5x, you got it right. And then for the whole numbers, 3.8. So that question, the goal of that question was to test you on your distributive property, which you learned in Unit 1, Lesson 6, and also with the properties in Lesson 5. It was a little more difficult because it added the element of decimals, which K-12 I don't think got into very much, but not too tricky for your grade level. All right, let's take a look at 1B. 1B added fractions to the mix of everything, which makes fractions make everyone think that it's scary. If you struggle with fractions still, let me know through Kmail. There's a Khan Academy module that I can send you for you to work through outside of class time to really try to get a handle on fractions. But for now, let me go ahead and show you how to solve this problem and just kind of talk you through the fractions of it. So I notice that we have 8/6 plus 3/8 plus 8x times 2. So for order of operations, I need to distribute this 2 out before I do anything else, because the 2 is sitting right next to that in parentheses form. So I'm going to keep my 8/6 alone, and I'm going to distribute out the other. So I have 3/8 times 2. I'm distributing that 2 there, plus x times 2, which could be just written as 2x. So I know I've got 2x plus, and then I'm going to go ahead and do this multiplication. I'm going to, in order to multiply fractions, any whole number you can put over 1, and then you multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. So if I multiply 3 times 2, I get 6. If I multiply my denominators, 8 times 1, I get 8. So I finish with my multiplication. I'm going to go ahead and bring down my 8/6 because I haven't used that yet. And now I'm going to look at what I have left. So I finished my multiplication, my distribution, multiplication. Now I'm ready to collect like terms or add from left to right. Oops, I forgot my fraction bar there. So if I'm going to add 8/6 plus 6/8 plus 2x, well, this x still has the variable, and I don't know what x stands for. So I know that I can't do anything with that 2x until somebody tells me what x stands for. This isn't an equation, so I'm not going to be able to kind of work back and forth across that equal sign. At this point, I need to make my 2 fractions into like denominators so that I can add them up. And so I'm going to choose to turn them into 24ths because I know that that is my least common multiple. And when I turn my 6 into 24ths, I multiply the denominators by 4. So I need to do the same on the top. I'm going to multiply 8 times 4 and get 32. And I also need to change my 6/8 into 24ths. So 8 times 3 got me to 24, so I need to multiply my numerator by 3. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, now I've got my two fractions there. They've got similar denominators, so I can combine them. And I'm going to do 50, because that's 32 plus 18. The bottom is just a label. It's the size of my pieces, that's 24ths. And I still have my 2x. So now I can come back up here and write my terms. Thank you, couldn't get that right. Write my terms up into my blank. So I've got 2x and 50 24ths. Now when you turn this in, 50 24ths can be reduced in several ways. It could be written as, let me change my pen color here, just to kind of show this extra. So 50 24ths can be written as 25 12ths. You could have cut them both in half and realized I wanted to leave it as an improper fraction, but that's a little bit simpler. You could have taken 25 12ths and written it as 2 whole numbers and 1 12th. All of these were answers that I accepted because you realize that they were equivalent. You could have even written this as 2 and 2 24ths, and one person tried to write it as a decimal but got the wrong decimal. And so there was numerous ways that this could have been accepted. The most popular way would have been the simplest form, which would be as a mixed number, but I took it any way that you gave it to me. All right, so that one was a little bit trickier because we went back and pulled on your fraction skills that you probably haven't practiced in a little while. The last problem works on a little bit of a skill that I think you haven't learned, but it's a pretty easy skill. It's called collecting like terms. But most people miss this problem because they didn't do order of operations. So if I have 2y plus 3x plus 5y plus 6x times 4, what was going on here is this times 4 wasn't happening for people. So in my Class Connect, my live Class Connect, I did let everyone know that that was a times symbol on the keyboard, but that might have been something that you missed. So the first thing that I would want to do is do the multiplication because it's order of operations. So 6x times 4 would give me 24x. And then I would bring down everything else that was left just for adding. 5y plus 3x plus 2y. At this point, it was all about collecting like terms. And so what that means is I'm going to add my y's together, which almost everybody in the class did with no problems. Almost everybody said they knew that this was 7y. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to add what x's I see together. So I see 3x and 24x together. That gives me 27x. And it's kind of deceiving with this extra blank, whether you left it blank or wrote in a 0. There was no whole numbers after we did this multiplication. There was no number left without a variable there. That's a better way of saying it. So you could have written in 0 here in the blank, or if you just give me the x and y's, I gave it to you correct. So either way, that would have been correct for you. All right, so if you send me the recording password for this video, I can give you 5 points for taking time out of your valuable day to watch this video and see how to work the interim assessment. The recording password for this video is PAIR, P-E-A-R, PAIR, and I thank you for watching. See you maybe for the next video.